What's up, Not Network? Just a quick disclaimer. This episode, we do kind of get a little deep into some trauma talks, some things about depression, and briefly we do talk a little bit about suicide. So just a disclaimer for anyone who may feel uncomfortable or triggered by speaking about that or listening to that. Just consider this your warning. It's from minute 30 to minute 40. So around that time, if you would like to skip, feel free. Otherwise, enjoy the episode.
Hey, what's up, everyone? I'm Jimmy Leach with Matthew Melia, and you are listening to the Not Network podcast. This is the show that's not about networking. It's about having an excuse to talk to some very creative people in some specialized fields. Today, on episode 7, joining us on the podcast is Brylee.
Welcome back, everybody, to episode 7. We have a very, 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 very special guest, very close to me. She is what I would call a resident expert. She is a scientist, very knowledgeable in all things science, I guess you could say. She's a future educator, and boy, does she know a lot of things. We're going to talk about a lot of things, and it's going to be a little bit of a different tone today, wouldn't you say, Jimmy?
A little bit.
I think we might be going a little deep today.
Going deep on the Not Network.
Going deep. This is our new segment. Going deep with Jimmy and Matthew. But yes, my very own special friend, my girlfriend Brylee, is on the podcast. Welcome. How do you feel?
Good. Excited to be here. Thank you guys for having me.
What up? Nice.
Nice. This is great.
I'm pumped too.
Yeah, I mean, this is the funny part about this, is that we already recorded this episode weeks ago.
It's true.
Weeks and weeks ago, and Jimmy decided
months.
to be like, you know what, psych. I'm actually not going to press record on the microphones. And so we did a
It's
whole
a voice warm-up.
full hour. Yeah,
It's
we
a
did
simple
some.
mistake.
It was a simple mistake.
Hour 45.
that cost
something.
us
So mad.
precious time that we'll never ever
So
get
mad.
back.
And
Never,
earned
never
us
get back.
a closer friendship.
Aww.
Still mad.
This is the Not Network podcast.
Thanks for listening. Yeah.
Oh no.
But we're going to talk a little bit about trauma and mental health, depression, how these things affect the artist's psyche.
Honestly, it's weird to me thinking about like depression and like artists, because like what do artists do? It's like the self-expression of themselves translated in their art, and it's like, how could you make something so beautiful and be like and feel so bad inside?
Mm-hmm.
But I was really surprised about that when I first got into it, and the main reason why I'm super pumped that Brylee's on here is because I have the emotional intelligence of a crayon, and I'm so glad that other people don't have that and can actually articulate, feelings into words. And so that's what I really appreciate about Brylee, and a little bit about Matthew too. He's pretty good at that.
It's pretty much because of her. Like,
Nice.
before we were dating, it was like, just to lay it out there, man, it's like, did I have a childhood? Yeah, I very obviously did. Have I ever thought about it? No.
Yeah.
And she's like, why? And why don't you like talk about things? And I'm not saying I had a horrible childhood, but it's just like how things work sometimes, Like sometimes your brain just goes, nope.
It does. Yeah.
Click that off.
It's easier for
Delete.
your brain.
Totally.
So things dysregulate your nervous system, and that's what trauma is. It's especially in childhood trauma, anything that dysregulates your nervous system. And so it's much easier because it's like your brain is freaking out. There are alarms going off. Things aren't right. And so instead of, especially as a child, when you can't put that somewhere appropriate because you don't have the right tools for it, your brain is like, should I file this or should I throw it out the window? I'm going to throw it out the window and pretend this doesn't exist. And then your body system kind of goes back into sync. It's interesting how trauma affects us.
But then whenever those things are dug up again, your brain is like,
Stop. Alarms going off. Yeah.
Yes.
And then trying to deal with it. That's what obviously therapy and things like that is for. And that's why talking through things actually does. Yeah, shout out to therapy.
Dude, for real.
I think therapy is important for if you think you have trauma or not, because chances are
You do.
you do.
Yeah.
You do, but your brain has most likely thrown it away. So that's why it's interesting to unlock. But why do you think it's important to actually do that, even if you don't think you have it or you don't think it affects you?
Yeah.
I think everyone can benefit from therapy. As you said, pretty much everyone has trauma, but even if you don't have anything that is something you regard as significant, there are always ways to learn better communication skills, learn more about yourself. Everyone gets upset, and people get upset for different reasons, and you can learn kind of why. Where does that come from? It's really easy to be like, oh, I just don't like loud places because it makes me frustrated. But then you can kind of find the root of that, like, why are you feeling that way? What happened in the past to make you feel that way? And what tools can you have to better yourself? And not just for the benefit of you, like, inherently being a better person or finding more value in yourself, but just having more peace. I think that's something that we should all strive for.
What's
Everyone
really
deserves to be comfortable.
Yeah, exactly. You said something earlier that it was like when your brain, it's like your brain is sending alarms, you know, this is bad, and it's saying toss it out the window. And it's weird because we like to separate like physical and like emotional states. We like to separate those and
Yeah.
mental states, but it's like all kind of connected. We could even throw spirituality in there,
Absolutely.
and it's all connected and things like that. And that was an inconvenient cough. I hate myself. So it
Trauma.
trauma. Yeah, and I don't think like nobody really wants to talk about like trauma and put it on a podcast. But the reason why we throw in the T word is because it's like, I'd say the foundation of kind of some mental health issues. And talking about like mental health, like, you know, depression, like a lot of creatives go through a little bit of a dip, and that's because like you're putting yourself out there, whether you like it or not. Because if you're designing for somebody, for a client, or if you're like, I don't know, yeah, like designing for somebody or for yourself, it is your self-expression. You're putting your heart and you're putting it on the table, and you're saying, judge me for it. And when people don't like that, you can get kind of hurt by it too. So then it can develop these issues. And like Brylee was saying, your brain can go like, alarm, this is trauma. This is when, like, you know, your mom said, shut up, when you were like making her something for Valentine's Day. That never happened to me. My mom.
Dude, that
amazing.
sounded way too specific,
Dude.
bro.
I was worried about you.
Yeah,
That's sus.
it's my brain calling out. It's a cry for help.
Yeah, yeah.
Jimmy.
I'll make you a Valentine's Day card.
Oh,
I will.
that's so
That's
sweet.
so sweet.
Aw. We need a soundboard.
We
Aw.
do, yeah.
But
I don't want to like my voice as like the because I think my voice is kind of really bad for aw.
Yeah, it
you
sounds
know?
really disingenuous.
Damn, I was gonna say like a deep, but okay.
Hey, man. We'll figure it
Pressing forward.
out. Pressing on. But what you're saying is true, though, Jimmy. Like, especially with artists, I know Martina and Alexi or Aphoria both talked a little bit about they had a
They had a dip.
season
Yeah,
while they were like gaining popularity and putting out a lot of art during those times, like dipping into a depression.
yeah, and that's why it's like not about like, you know, the likes, the follows, the attention. It's literally about like the self-expression. It's like, you know what, I'm gonna do something for me. I'm gonna put a little bit of me out there, and that's really sweet and it's really cool.
One thing that we did talk about with Martina was how going through COVID and quarantine, everything, that is obviously a huge deregulation for everybody. And me and you, Brylee, talked a little bit about this, or I guess you told me about it. And we'll get to that in a second. But we were talking about with Martina that coming out of this season, 2020, COVID, whatever you want to call it, there will be a like huge art movement.
Yeah, absolutely.
and because it's happened on every other World War II, we have post World War II, we have post like Renaissance, post huge events, plague, things like that.
Totally didn't think about
What
that.
was it that had like popularized
Ages.
movies? Era?
I don't know if they popularized them.
Well,
They
it like
were-
became a thing, like escapism, and turning to movies after
Yeah.
the Great Depression was
Yeah.
like everyone started going to the movies.
Definitely.
I believe.
You think Corona's our Great Depression right now?
Well, possibly
Yeah, sticking everybody inside. Oh no.
causing mental health issues. But anyway, like you were saying, absolutely, I think there can be great reports of that. Interesting. Recent. We can circle back.
Yeah.
To what you were saying. But for one of my classes, one of our final assignments was to watch this little short movie called The Butterfly Circus. It is very cheesy. Have you seen
I
it?
think so. I
Dude,
think I know what you're talking about.
It like actually had a profound impact on me, like, which was surprising on how cheesy it was. But one of the things that happens in there, I won't go into the movie's about in case anyone's interested. But one of
No
the quotes from
spoilers
it
on this
is,
podcast.
Spoilers.
he goes, "If only you could see the beauty that comes from the ashes." And he goes on to say, "The greater the struggle, the greater the triumph." And I think that is so apparent in society and in different people. You go through these heavy things and go through tough things, and it can make a profound difference, but it also can bring you to such a new place. And we've seen that repeatedly in society where we get to these places, you're in the ashes. These things are terrible. Awful things are going on in society. And people are really struggling a lot. But then through that struggle, there's this great triumph and such a beauty that comes out of it. And get some awesome art. Really presents itself well in that way.
Yeah. I don't know why. Maybe because I'm so effed up, but like I think of the Joker. What doesn't kill you makes you stronger. Wait, did he say that?
I think
that was
that was
Katy
Kelly
Perry.
Clarkson.
Oh, that one.
This is a song, right?
Yeah. I'm just really wildly thrown off that you thought that was the Joker.
Well, oh, he said what doesn't kill you makes you stranger.
Yeah.
Okay,
Play
but
on
anyways,
words, a
yeah.
pun, if you will.
Who did you say? Clarkson?
Kelly.
I think it
Kelly
was
Clarkson, wildly
before
famous.
her, right? That's just like a phrase.
Well, yeah, it was a phrase, but then she
So
popularized it.
uncultured.
Well, at least for I almost
Yeah.
said my generation, but I guess our generation. My generation.
I'm older than
We grew up on Kelly Clarkson. Yeah. Brylee's a 90s kid. I was,
It's true.
Oh, what?
yeah,
Dang,
December
that's kinda
29th,
cool.
1999. So
I'm a
she
little
was really
jealous.
Should you
raised-
get my...
What are they going to do with your birth date? Send you a happy birthday? I sure hope so. It's
You're
coming
gonna
up.
get so much mail. There's where was I going with this? Oh yeah, what doesn't? I mean, it's like the hotter the fire, the stronger the metal's gonna get, or whatever.
Mhm.
That's a really cool thing about like when you come into trials and stuff like that, and especially for artists. Dude, it's so sad because like they're, at least from my experience, like I'm not with people. I'm alone.
Yeah,
I'm
bro.
like sitting. I'm not sitting. I'm standing at my desk.
He's got a standing desk.
gotta
He
s-
likes a standing
yeah,
desk.
standing at a desk and just like staring at a screen with nobody around. It's extremely discouraging. So I like to think that I have growth in it, but like I don't know. But from what the history books have taught us and from what others is that, it's like I don't know, maybe like a brick wall. You got your brick and then you put another one on there and another one on there and it just like builds on top
Mhm.
of one another. Which brings me to a question about building for you, Brylee.
All right.
Okay, I've been wanting to say this. I'm so excited. Okay. So I got a question about for you with education, because with all kind of mental health, and this is coming from, or at least I'm not a health profession. This is just from my own experience and stuff like that. But as an avid learner and as a person who likes to get in it, Casey Neistat has a wonderful quote. So,
Okay.
and education does for the mind what experience does for the soul. So I wonder, can like breaking through the difficulties to be the stronger metal amidst the fire from the metaphor earlier, can that be taught? or is it something that, like, I don't know, as teachers, do you have to bring somebody through? Like if somebody was hitting a brick wall in an assignment or something,
Mm-hmm.
or maybe not an assignment, but like in life, because I know teachers have a big impact on students.
Right.
Is it a teacher's job just to tell them the answer, or can it be like, I don't know, is there like a strategy or a way to help them go through it? And you can't see it because y'all can't see it because y'all are listening, but like I'm making these weird motions with my hands because
Yeah.
I'm Italian, and like I said, I have the emotional intelligence of a crayon, and I can't communicate words, so I'm using my hands to try to talk this through. But like, can you break through that? Maybe I'm talking about this too much, and I should just let you answer. But yeah,
Yeah, interesting. There is a lot of theory about that, and teachers subscribe to different theories. There's all different ways to learn. But one of the main things I've learned through my education, right now, especially as a science teacher, we follow something called the 5E model, and that's basically just like a different framework for looking at lessons. So I'm sure what we experience, especially people who are out of school now, they didn't really talk about this a long time ago. When we were going through school, we were kind of talked at, and you were given information and you were given the answers. And it was all like, I am telling you what the correct thing is. You accept it, you memorize it, and you move on. But especially in science and math, we realized that doesn't work very well. Students are not going to retain things when they're just being told. And a lot of them don't understand it as much. You can check. You can have a word association and know the answer choice is A because from there what like the quote unquote rules are, but it doesn't make as much sense to you and it won't serve you as well throughout your life. So the 5E model, instead of giving students information, it starts to have them kind of answer those questions themselves. So they all stand for different things, which most of them are not important to this conversation. But one of them is the explore, and that's like the beefy part of the lesson. So where in the past we would have replaced that with a lecture, we have an explore activity for the students to do. And so they take based on what information they have already learned in the past and maybe a few introductory vocab words that you might teach them. They go ahead and they do an activity to put those structures in their minds themselves. And so they're uptaking the information. And through doing that physically or exploring something on a website, maybe some sort of model of things, they actually, they're experiencing that. And they are actually learning that rather than uptaking and memorizing.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a brand new approach.
Okay, that's cool. I'm gonna relate to this to my learning because I
Okay.
know there's like different kinds of learning, like auditory and then visual.
Mhm.
I'm like a hands-on learner. I don't know if that's like a sexist thing, but like I know like a lot of my friends are hands-on learners, and so they learn by doing things. And when you said exploration, that just like brought my mind into my childhood of where I was going outside and getting a shovel and just digging. I don't know why I was digging a hole, but I just started digging a hole, and I remember it being great and awesome. And it was a big giant hole. Have no idea where I was going with that, but
You
That you
feel
learned about.
that's just what you wanted to do. Like naturally, no one really told you to go dig a hole, but that's just what you, as little boy Jimmy, felt like
Yeah.
you wanted to do.
yeah,
And so, if you feel that way during class, and there are lessons and information that make you feel that same draw,
because it's a
It's a
kind of
draw.
yeah.
and so then you'll be more apt to learn that way.
Little fire
Yeah.
to get started.
Yeah, I mean, it gets everyone's passions are different, and everyone's way of learning, like you were talking about, is different. So I think it's important to change it up a little bit
Yeah.
in schools, man.
Sure.
Brylee, we were talking about this the other day too. Like one of the very few things that from its conception to now that hasn't changed very much at all is the school system.
Education needs.
And gas stations. That was my contribution to the conversation. But
Nice.
we'll talk about schools.
Okay.
Why? Why aren't they changing? Why haven't they been changing? Why are we just now being like, you know what?
Why is our
Hold
education
up.
so not
Why are we
working?
50th in the world or whatever?
We have been questioning that for a long time, but It's complicated. It's very, very deeply complicated. There's a very significant piece of text called the Teacher Wars, which really gets heavy into that if anyone is
It's
interested.
called the Teacher's Wars.
The Teacher Wars, yes.
Whoa.
Education
We'll link that in the
has
show
been
notes.
That sounds intense.
highly disputed since its conception. It has gone through different things, and it has been highly controversial. If you really truly look at the history of education, at its conception, it was meant for, well, let's say in its beginning stages at least, it was meant kind of as a moral policing. They put in
Interesting.
people with barf maternal instincts and capabilities into rooms with young, mainly, actually exclusively white, and mostly working class, or a little bit higher end of that, into places so that they could be educated and like kind of like stabilize and kind of calm them down. So instead of these people like rioting and being
Keep
like,
them in line.
yeah, like give me more wages, dude, or like treat me better as my bosses, they were like, if we just tell these people like to read the Bible and fall in line, maybe like they won't know that we're taking advantage of them. So basically that was like the conception of education, and it's gone through a lot of different other phases, and it has been brutal. It has not been kind to most people for most of its time, but the way we have worked through disseminating information has not changed very much. It's changed in our grouping structures, how many people we have, but the value we place on teachers, and most teachers being female, and a lot of that has not changed very much. I think that there could be a drastic difference. I subscribe to a little bit of a different point of view.
What do you subscribe to?
I think education needs an entire overhaul. I do not believe in like.
So we don't need a nerf or a buff. We need a rework.
Yeah.
In
Nice.
gamer terms.
Absolutely. I think it needs a huge change. We need a new system.
Well, we live in like pretty much a totally different like society when it was created in, because when that started happening, that was like the Industrial Revolution, right? So like all the men were going off to work and stuff like that, and then like the kids were like
Going off to work too.
Yeah, that's at least like the history in America when we like had popularized like public schools. So I can't speak of like what they were doing in England before that and how people knew how to read and write. There's lots of other stuff with that. Aristocrats and people of high power
the oligarchy.
Yes, those people were always well educated, but
Royal
it being
family.
kind of brought to the public had the origins in controlling people.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that if as that was the heart of the beginning, and we're still following something like that, that's always going to be where we end up at. I think.
A little bit rough. Yeah.
Yeah.
How can we change from that, or what is it like? Look, because it's not just you said you have a different point of view, but like I look at I look at a lot of other people, and they're kind of like on the same wavelength that you are. It's like what we've been doing, it's worked to a certain extent, but it could be better. It could be a lot better for a lot more families and a lot more people, and especially in kind of like America. So what would kind of be like, I don't know, what's some of the fun things that are being like worked up, or like a new process or a new way to learn? Because yeah, like you were saying, it's getting a little rough right now. We live in a different world.
There are a lot of different point of views on how to improve education and how to change it in a way for positive. But whether you believe those are actually helping or not is entirely an opinion.
Really?
And a lot of it is not. Like, there are facts that line up on either side, and you could say, well, we need to unionize teachers and get better teachers, or we need to say, oh, we need to just pay teachers more, but throwing money at a problem doesn't always solve it. You can say we should be training teachers even less, and we just need more teachers. We need more bodies, or we should be, having a more culturally responsive approach, or this or that. There's a million different things. That's the teacher wars. Like the subtitle of it is America's most embattled profession. Which I think is very true. And so I can't say what is the answer, but I can identify that there's a problem, and I think we have lots of people that are working towards something, and I think that there might be a solution to it, but I can't pretend to have all the answers as someone who is not even a teacher yet.
For sure.
And has not had experience in there.
Do you think, I want to know how much you think in school creative arts should be integrated and how seriously it should be taken as related to sports and other extracurriculars, I guess you could call them.
Mm-hmm.
Should they be extracurricular or should they be in curriculum? Should we be learning more about art? How important is that to other subjects and to a kid's development?
Well, there's lots of studies about people being involved with things like music and having higher math scores. And so I can see obvious value in getting kids to do that. But I think to me, the most empowering thing that, or the most powerful thing that extracurriculars, sports or music or art, that they really do for our kids is they get them interested in school at all. They get the kids to show up. They get kids a reason to be involved and to want to be there. I mean, nobody wants to do long division, algebra, and dissect a frog and write 6-page essays all day long. But kids are more willing to do so when they're enthusiastic about something, when you give them something to care about. And I think that the arts are very important to that as well, to get kids involved. I think it's important. I don't know. I haven't thought about this a lot. But if I had to guess, I would say that kids should be able to choose what they want to do as far as those extracurriculars. I think that art education would be definitely important, and music education as well. I think the histories of that are really intertwined with our societies, like we've talked about, and I think that having a firm analysis of those gives us a better look into kind of the things that went on. I mean, you can learn all these facts about what happened in a time period, but when you can truly analyze the art and the intrinsic value that has, that gives you a better look into what was going on with those people that time period.
I have an existential kind of question.
All right.
Okay, so do you think that at the start of this, we talked about there's value in explaining or articulating what's inside our emotions, and if art is a way to communicate that, if we were being taught more of a language or more of a way to express that, do you think that we'd have the best society in the world? We'd be the super society if we could articulate what was inside through the expression of art by teaching in schools. Does that make sense?
Yes.
Okay, sick.
It's hard to say. There are lots of ways to measure society and what we'd be best at, but I would say we would absolutely be better off. We would absolutely be more well served if people had multiple ways to express themselves and multiple ways to get feelings out. And it's hard to put what you feel into words and what you're experiencing into words. For anyone, even people who have been well trained in that, have done a lot of trauma work and have done a lot on exploring that, it's hard to articulate everything you feel all the time. But art is such a beautiful way to express that without having to use your words necessarily. And you can have movies where you script out things, but that feeling is the kind of overtone of that's more important. I definitely think that we would be massive strides ahead of where we are now if our society was more capable of expressing those feelings. Our people would at least be a lot more happy, and happier people are more productive, and they do better in learning and be better for everyone else. They're more likely to help other people.
You know what I just thought about?
What'd you just think about?
I just kind of realized this, and we talked about it a little bit earlier, but going along the lines of what you're talking about and what your question was, Jimmy, I think part of the reason why we feel so surprised when we find out this famous artist and this painting was during the time when Pablo Picasso wanted to kill himself, and it's and then you look at it, you're like, but this made me feel happy, or this is such a bright and vibrant thing. How could he be so deep and dark? And I think it's because the point of art is to escape to kind of what you want and something that's unattainable for you.
Ooh.
And so creating something that is, when you're in your deepest, darkest hour, that is like bright and vibrant and where you want to be, and that could even make someone else like realize that they feel that way or make them feel that way, even when you can't make yourself feel that way. I mean, that's what expression is. And because we don't like create things that we necessarily know or are completely familiar with, because that's not unique. No one cares about that stuff. You know what I mean?
Dude.
Does that make sense?
Yeah.
That's really gnarly. I totally didn't even go there, but yeah.
Oh, I went there.
I'm glad you did.
Snap my fingers in a Z formation, exclamation.
I was trying to
bring it
avoid
out
that, which is why I did it quietly.
Anyway, but yeah, I mean, I think that is wildly important, but it's just...
Is that why most artistic people are just so like, I don't want to make a generalization, but depressed,
reserved,
or maybe like more easily take on that kind of mentality of just like sad boy hours.
Maybe because they're more introspective by nature, or not even by nature, but by practice. I guess because art, you kind of naturally look into yourself, because like you were talking about earlier, when you're at your standing desk, you are all alone. And there is no one else by you. No one else has to be by you. No one else really should be by you, because you are creating something. And that's like the most natural thing that humans can do that, you know, most other things really can't, is make art.
Yeah, that's like speaking to the human kind of nature of, I don't know, resilience. Because like when you started like saying, you know, it's the self-expression of yourself, of like you're in your deepest, darkest hour, like you're putting up something that you love, you know, that makes you move, makes you emotional. It's like your hope's not around you. You're creating your own hope.
Yeah.
And I think that can kind of, I don't know, that just makes me feel good. That makes me
It's
feel
like
inspired.
sad, but like happy thought at the same time.
Yeah.
It's like I'm just thinking about the amount of people that Robin Williams, for example, like
Ooh, yeah.
does comedy for a living, his whole career making people laugh, absolutely adored and loved by everybody, but was internally, and there's so many more examples of this, unfortunately, and a lot of artists, because a lot of artists are very famous, and obviously their deaths are a lot more famous than their lives sometimes, unfortunately. But going through something so difficult that it reached the point of suicide. And I mean, just briefly on the topic of suicide, like, man, I think about this sometimes, like, to have the thought of suicide is one thing, but to actually go through the full steps and succeed is a much different thing.
Yeah, I mean, it's not even like it's kind of like you're past your wit's end, because like to be at your wit's end, that's the end, but like it's the end to the end. And Tim Ferriss talked about, do you know who Tim Ferriss is?
I don't think so.
No.
Oh, you like Tim Ferriss.
I would.
Yeah. I think Brylee would like Tim Ferriss.
Got that down.
He went to Princeton, and he was doing like a dissertation, and basically he had some stuff he had to deal with, and he wrote this in like what's the back of the book, the glossary, the index. He wrote this at the very end about like his suicidal thoughts, but he's a pretty accomplished person right now. Wrote the 4-Hour Workweek, and that's a pretty dope book. But he wrote this kind of like excerptation about like, you know, his suicidal phase, but you know, getting past that took an outside force of, I don't know, of hope. I think it's a little natural for everybody to have like, you know, what would I do if like, you know, I died? I don't know. Is that natural?
I think so.
Yeah.
But like that's the thing, is it's so repressed, and it's such a thing that it's like, ooh, I might be weird if I like said that to someone.
Yeah.
Like, what if they don't feel that way and they're like, dude,
you'd be
like, are you good?
ostracized, alienated.
Yeah. It's like, you need help. And you're like, yeah.
Yeah, that's what I'm
Definitely.
saying it to you.
I do, and so do you probably. But go on.
Oh no, that was it's just he wrote that, and then I thought that kind of spoke to what you were saying about like suicide. It's like it's not something that's like, I don't know, widely talked about and difficult. And like even right now, like I'm fidgeting with my watch because I'm so uncomfortable with talking about it. because like it's definitely like I do not feel like if anybody's listening to me, they should take the advice of what I'm saying about like suicide. Like
Yeah.
if you have suicidal thoughts, call the suicidal hotline. Like it's not that bad. It's just a phone number, just a bunch of digits. They're friendly people.
Mm-hmm.
It's not even they'll help you, but sometimes you need to talk. Sometimes you need to talk to somebody.
You know what feels so wrong up to me about how people treat suicide and suicidal people
What?
is like we always say somebody cares about you, or there's so many people who love you, and just reach out and talk to somebody. For some reason that always just felt like wrong to me.
Yeah.
Does
Oh
that
my
make
goodness.
sense? Like because I mean that's obvious to us. But to someone who, like I said, is in their deepest, darkest hour, like think of yourself when you're in the deepest, darkest hour. Not your first thought is not someone cares about me.
Yeah.
That is your last thought. That's
Yeah.
why you're so deep and dark and in such a bad place. It's like, no, if you see something or if you notice behavior of someone that is in such a horrible place, you need to be the one that reaches out.
Yeah.
I
Like
agree.
you need to be checking on your people, because I always think of Robin Williams just because that was just so jarring to me and so juxtaposed to his career and kind of his I don't know what's the word, not like connotation, but just when
His
people think of
aura,
Robin Williams,
yeah.
they think of his big
His
smile
vibe,
and his
yeah.
boisterous laugh and his great movies and illustrious career. But I just that didn't feel right. That just doesn't feel right to me. What do you think about that?
Yeah, I was gonna say I have massive beef with that phrase. Like, reach out to me if you need help. That made me so mad. I have gone through lots of things, and people, and I know it is with such good intentions in their hearts to people to be like, "I'm here for you if you need anything." But the truth is, when you are incredibly depressed or incredibly mentally ill,
Yeah.
or you're struggling with any of those, self-hatred, any of those thoughts, the last thing you want to do is ask somebody for help.
Absolutely.
You don't want to burden someone with what you have, and you also, most of the time, don't have the motivation
Yeah.
to, or just the wherewithal to know that you need to talk about it.
Yeah.
And so I liked what you said. You need to be aware of your people. You need to be checking in. You need to know the signs of those things and know what is, an acceptable level to someone of like, oh, they are just having a hard week, and knowing like, hey, I'm actually worried about you. And I think it's important for us to make those strides for other people. I talked about this all the time. Anytime I think of somebody in a positive way, I do my hardest to send them a text and to reach out,
That's really cool.
regardless of if I know they're going through something or not. I just try to check in on people and say, hi, how you doing?
Yeah.
Or hey, I was thinking about how cute your smile is today. Or hey, you're sweet and I love you and you can have a good day. Or just something simple. Because we don't know. People who are going through it, masking is a massive thing. They will pretend like they're not, and even if they're not masking it, sometimes they just don't. They won't reach out. And so you, as a good friend, should be trying so hard to reach out to people, and constantly reminding them that they're there. It's harder for someone to call you up at 2 a.m. when they're having a mental breakdown to say, I need you right now, than it is for you to shoot out a text and just say, hey, I am I'm here.
It's so easy.
That, yeah.
Absolutely.
It's so easy. And like whatever you believe in, God, the universe, energy, whatever it is, there are so many times where someone, and it makes me so emotional to even think about it, but someone who goes through that and actually goes through the act of committing suicide or even trying, that they like send up a little prayer, send up a little thought. If even one person tonight like reaches out to me and says anything to me, I am not going to do it. And it didn't happen. And if you have that little inkling or that little thought, like you're talking about, Brylee, it could be for a reason. And it's not always just an accident. I am one of the people that does not believe in coincidences. So I think that's a very important practice that a lot of people should be putting into play in their lives.
Absolutely. There's a guy, his name is Jesse. I have no idea his last name. In my phone, his name is Jesse Swole. Think of this. Picture this
He's
guy.
swole, he's big.
Think of this white guy. All right. He's big, all right? He lifts weights and shit like that. And this guy, he sends me texts like every morning around like 5 or 6. Good morning, King. How you doing?
Aww.
And at night, he's like, what are you doing? And, just checking up on you. Hope you have a good night's rest. And I hope you go to the gym tomorrow morning. And I hope you get after it.
Hope you get swole.
I hope you get swole, yeah.
White.
Yeah. Well, no, he's just
Because
so,
those are my 2
he
characteristics.
is so pale. I love Jesse. Shout out to Jesse. Jesse, I
out to
love you,
Jesse.
but you need a bronze, dude. You need a nice bronze.
It's
just
just not a tanning bed.
Just a
Where's
nice
the
coat.
melanin?
I know. Right. Exactly. He's just I don't know. This winter, we need these clouds to go away. We need some sun. We need a little brightness. And it's kind of like seasonal depression too.
Yeah.
That can happen. So especially like right now, hit up the boys, hit up your friends, be like, hey, what's up? How you
Yeah.
doing?
Just checking in.
Yeah.
Want to let you know I'm thinking about you.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Maybe gas him up.
Absolutely.
Send him a swole dog.
Yeah.
Swole doge.
Swole Doge.
Swole doge.
We love Swole Doge around here.
Yeah.
For sure.
I think we might have just made him our official mascot just now. Swole Doge is officially the mascot of the Not Network podcast, sent specifically to prevent suicide.
Yeah.
So
I
keep that in
usually
mind.
send it when I'm like, when do I send it? I send him when I'm trying to gas somebody up. I'll be like, what up?
What up,
What
King?
up, dude? What up, King?
You dropped this
Uh-huh.
crown.
Uh-huh. Yeah.
Boom.
Oh, yeah.
You sent it to me the other day because you were mad at me.
Yeah. It's
Faker.
true.
I sent it to because I was like, hey, what's up with this? So I wanted
That's
to.
true. Okay, fair enough.
I wanted to instill in you some positive vibes. Everybody likes looking at like an insane, beastly, swole dog.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Those little Shibas, man. Those are cute dogs.
Yeah.
Very cute.
There's something about like a dog. Dogs just bring up the vibe, and especially like a
I feel
strong
like this
dog.
is a subtweet right now. Jimmy
Yeah.
nonstop nags me about getting a dog for the apartment. Our horrible, dingy 4-bedroom apartment on the 3rd floor of a complex with no yard
Listen, just...
and about a 5-by-5 foot balcony that's concrete.
Okay, you're right. Is that what you want me to say?
Yeah.
You're right.
Yeah,
You don't
it
need
is-
a dog.
It is what I want.
Okay. Okay. No, I was just saying like, I don't know, a muscular dog too.
Yeah.
Because I do like a fat, like I have a weenie dog.
If
I
we
have
got like a
Dachshund.
weightlifting dog,
Huh?
I've lost the thread here
Like-
entirely.
Well, like dog. Okay. So
Dog.
like I have a Dachshund.
you know what that is.
And I have a Dachshund, and he used to be so swole. This dude, he's a picture like a little tiny weenie dog.
Stout.
Stacked, ripped.
Cute.
On the beach, he was humping everything. He had all the dog. He
man.
was such a killer dog. And we called him the speeding bullet because he was so freaking fast. He was on the beach chasing all the birds. Shoom, shoom, shoom. Always bringing up the good vibes. Always bringing up the good stuff. But I can get down to a chunky dog too. So that's what I really meant to say by that. Dogs gas me up.
Gas up your friend.
Dude, gas up your friends by sending them dogs.
We were just talking about this, Jimmy. Please
Word.
expand your thought process about how dogs and horses and dolphins can really get a man gassed.
Okay, so shout out to Brylee. She introduced me to this New York Times bestseller book, and it's really great. It's kind of like I have a love-hate relationship to all psychology books because they make me feel like so crappy, but at the same time they make me feel so good. So at this one part, and I read it to both Brylee and Matthew separately, not at the same time, but separately because it's so important. That it said, sometimes you're going through it. And sometimes you don't know what to do, and sometimes humans don't give the best reaction, and that's true. Sometimes, like us humans, we can look at it and just get the wrong vibe, and we can say something wrong. And instead of our best intention are saying something right, we could make it sound, I don't know. See, I'm bad with words. Really wrong. And so that's why dogs come in, and dogs and animals and mammals are really cool because they're just like, dude, I'm like a furry little guy, and I'm just vibing out right here. Come pet me. Come give me a little scratch on the tummy.
Yeah,
A
right
little
there.
pat on the
Yeah.
head. under the collar, dude. I don't know about y'all, but under the collar, that gets
But
him.
that leg starts shaking.
That's how you gas your dog up.
He has that dog up.
yeah.
Mandatory.
Give me some more loving, and we could always use a little bit more loving.
You're right.
Mm-hmm.
Dogs don't judge you, man.
Yeah, to talk about that book, it's called The Body Keeps the Score. It is a great book for anyone who has struggled through some trauma.
Everyone.
Whether or not you think that, that's small or it has profound effects, I would like you to know your trauma is not insignificant. If it has made a difference to you, then it matters, and it's worth. You are worthy of being taken care of. So work through that. Body Keeps the Score is a great way to talk about how that physically affects you. A therapist, lots of other ways, but Body Keeps the Score. I'm gonna plug that. It's a good book.
Big plug.
Not network validates your emotions.
100%.
Yes.
Absolutely. That's
You should make a
so
sticker of
important.
that.
Oh my goodness.
Yas.
I really want a sticker too. Like I really want a sticker. Like, I want
Stickers
some
are dope.
merch. They are.
Be
Come
look
on,
out.
little Nalgene's. Little. Wait, what are they called?
Nalgene's.
Mm-hmm.
No, but like.
Hydro flasks.
Thank you.
Oh.
Hydro flask. I'm
I
such
thought
a
you were
white girl at
outdoorsy.
heart. Oh wow. Okay.
That's a
Got
roast.
him.
I'm sorry. I'm sorry.
You
I'm
got
sorry.
an Eagle Scout in the room right
I
here.
know, right? Just slap it. No,
Cheeky
but I'm
water
pretty
room
fit.
temperature. Just kidding.
I had a big struggle with that. Drinking water at room temperature.
Oh, I thought you meant trauma.
I was like, oh, here we go. We're going real
that
deep now.
too. That too. But like I went through like a period of life, like a summer, and I couldn't have any ice cubes. So bad. So bad.
I think you need to talk to someone professionally about that.
I know.
That sounds horrific.
It really was.
I'm sorry, Jimmy.
What?
I'm sorry.
I
You
thought
went
you
through
were
that.
Brylee.
Damn. Ba-dum-tsh.
Come at me with the IMs, I'll hit you with a dad joke.
It's true. You can't say that you're anything besides Brylee around Jimmy. Yeah, that's,
All right.
that's the sigh.
The big sigh.
Anyway,
I'm done. Mm-hmm.
your feelings matter. You deserve to be
Absolutely.
taken care of. You deserve to be taken care of by yourself.
Treat yourself.
Yeah, you deserve you. You deserve your best effort always. You should not put anyone else above yourself because that just doesn't, first of all, evolutionarily speaking, if we just want to go logically, that doesn't make sense. You're not going to the theory of universalizability, if everybody relied on somebody else, everybody dies. Can't be done. That means it is unethical. If it cannot be universalizable, in theory, it can't be done on a large scale. Universalizable
facts.
means if everybody does it.
Ubiquitous.
If no one cares for themselves, and I'm just strictly talking mentally even.
Mm-hmm.
Obviously, physically, that's a different story. Like, that's obvious. But mentally, your brain is it is you. That's something fun that I like to think about is like when I talk about my brain, it's literally my brain talking about itself. It's so meta. It's the most meta thing that you can
Mm-hmm.
that you can do.
Mm-hmm.
When I'm talking to you, I'm talking to only your brain.
It's
I'm
true.
looking at your eyes, but it doesn't matter. I could look at any part of you and be talking to you, but like that's being registered up in your brain. So it doesn't matter where I'm looking.
We take it in
We take it in.
to ourselves, to our perspective.
You're just your brain in
We-
like a meat suit.
We're a brain.
That's
A meat
good way to
mech.
put it. A meat mech. Can we have that on a sticker?
Can we call this this episode is going to be called
Please don't.
Trauma and Meat Mechs.
Okay.
She has like the grimace on her.
I did.
She's
That was
like,
a big
"No."
cringe. That was
That's
a
a
big
cringe emoji.
Meat
Yeah.
mech, double M. DM.
DM.
Sliding into DMs on a surfboard. Where I went.
Lovely.
Sorry.
We've
What?
got we really went for it today.
We went on a lot of different topics. I honestly didn't think we were going to go this everywhere.
Do you think, Brylee, that trauma can decide not decide, but affect your decision later in life on what you would like to do? Or
Absolutely.
affect your passions even?
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Elaborate.
trauma manifests itself in different ways for everyone. So I can't, necessarily say this is the same for every person. But at least for myself, it has absolutely shaped what I want to do with my life. I'm very passionate about education, and I'm a big proponent for teachers being well equipped to not only give their students good information on how to master a subject, but also how to be a successful human. A lot of the reason I want to be a teacher was because I went through some trauma and I was going through stuff and I was having a really hard time and was in these, depressions and really struggling when I was in school. And the reason I am the way I am today and the reason I am, I take care of myself and understand that I have value. A good chunk of that is because I had teachers that cared about me and spent the time talking to me and making sure I was good and checking in on me when I didn't want to be checked in on, and checking in on me when I wasn't even directly calling for help. And so I think that's a huge role of teachers and something I've placed on myself. And I think everyone kind of goes through that, whether it's a way you healed from trauma or a trauma you've experienced. I think that hugely impacts who you are in some ways, the ways you deal with it. I think that can absolutely influence what you want to do with your life. And I think the opposite can be true as well. I think people may have some amazing passions and maybe some great talents and at times have experienced different traumas that have deferred them away from that. I think that's especially true of artists. There are some very, very talented people that, no shame on accountants, but some people who are truly meant for another role who are doing something like accounting or something in a cubicle in an office job. And those are all great and noble works, but there are people who have been shamed into not sharing parts of them, I think. And so I think that definitely can have a huge impact on you are. So if you are a person who is artistic and creative, I would encourage you and empower you to pursue those, no matter what.
Explore.
And if you think that you are someone who is not creative, or you're left brain or whatever, is it left brain or right brain that's like,
I have no
quote
idea.
unquote not creative?
I think it's left brain.
Yeah, if you think you're left brain and that you're not creative and you're not good at anything in the arts, there are a lot of things, as maybe you've started to see on some of the episodes of our podcast, that is very diverse. The art field, creative field, very, very diverse. There's a lot of things that are considered creative. So I would encourage you, listener, to this week try something new. Try something that you've maybe had like a very slight interest in, something that you thought maybe would be cool or interesting, and give it a shot. You may just find your new passion. You may find your destiny, your calling, and you may be the next best.
Good.
I have a question. And this is directed, to either of you two. But do you find it better when somebody you like or admire, such as the teacher, do you like it when they are forceful in the context of inspiring you to explore things? Do you think it's better for you to be coddled when you're in a deep, dark place? Do you think it's better that you're coddled into it? Hey, come try this with me, or hey, get off your butt and go do it. Because when I look at people and inspiring people, it's usually like a balance for me.
Yeah.
And so
For yourself or doing it unto others?
I think time is really an identifier with that, because like at the moment, definitely if I want somebody inspired, I'm going to be really forceful with them. You talked to me 5 years ago, I'm going to be like coddling them. I'm going to be like, hey man, come on, let's go do something. Let's go out. But now I'm like, get up and get off. And it's usually like, people my age, people that I relate to or something like that. They're like the complete other side of the spectrum of like who I was. Then I'd probably be a bit more timid and stuff like that. But I'm just wondering, do y'all have a preference of experience?
I think it depends on the person.
Bet.
Everyone's very different. And I also think it depends on the situation, on, what you are trying to get them to do. But I think if I were to choose, I would say it is more important to maybe coddle It should always come out of a place of love. When you're trying to help someone, it should never come from a place of I'm better than you. And I also think it's really very important for us to know which things are of intrinsic value, what things make you good or bad, versus what is a functioning task. You know, people who are really depressed, a common symptom of that is, you know, having a disorganized room or falling behind on things. And while it might, you know, make sense to you in a healthy brain to be like, come on, get a grip, do it, fix it, just get up, let's go, let's do it right. But to understand, are you a bad person because your room is messy? You're not. You're not functioning. It's a functional task. Doing something that takes care of your space and takes care of you physically, you know, showering, taking care of yourself, washing your hair.
Differentiator.
Those are not intrinsically good or bad actions. When you are not doing them, you do not become a bad person who needs to be shamed. You become a person who's not functioning. And so you deserve love and grace to pick you up out of that spot and not someone to yell at you until you fix it. There are times where sometimes someone needs a little bit of a push.
Yeah.
I definitely see that. But I think it's important to know, is this a functional task or is this an intrinsically good or bad thing?
Yeah, that's a good differentiation, like you said.
Yeah.
But I think that's really important when identifying, and especially like if you're, and I was approaching this more like to somebody else, like if you're if you saw somebody, you know, deep down, because like we talked about earlier, they're not gonna go to you go to them.
For sure.
So it's like, how can we approach somebody else? Because there's two sides of the coin, and like you're saying, we need to actually maybe do a little bit of investigation ourselves before reaching out to somebody, you know, and that requires, I guess, a basis of relationship before communicating.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I think for me,
how do you do it? How do you motivate people? How do you get
well,
them out?
I'm answering the question of if I wanted someone to do that for me, what would I want?
Gotcha.
And I think I would also want to be like, you said it as coddled, but I would want
easing. That's a better word for it.
I want it to be easing, because there's a lot of pain that comes with depression. I mean, like if you think of the word depression, like you're being depressed. There's so much weight on you that you don't even feel like you can get out of bed and do your homework or do the dishes or pick up all the dirty crap off your floor, you know? And you seem so ridiculous to yourself, or at least for me, I'll speak for myself.
Absolutely.
If I get to feeling that way, I'm like, this is ridiculous. Like I tend to beat myself up. And so I don't need someone to tell me, you need to get up, and even with the best of intentions, it's going to be like, I know I do.
Yeah.
I know I do,
Absolutely.
but I can't.
Yeah.
I just can't. And I don't know why. I don't know how. I feel ridiculous, and I know it's stupid. I don't know.
It's not
this
stupid.
Is like, but that's what I tell myself.
Yeah.
And that's why I need someone to be like, hey, I understand. And like, you're going to get through this because you have to.
So there are two things. Sorry, were you going to say something?
I was going to say, I feel like that ties in with trauma as well. Understanding why you feel that way. And the root of that is shame. And I would love, I'm sorry, I know we're tight on time, but I would love to talk about the shame cycle real quick.
Talk about it.
The thing about shame, I am so passionate about this, and I am doing so much work on myself to undo this now. It is an ongoing process. Shame is not an original emotion. You are not born knowing how to feel shame. You know, babies, they cry because they're upset, and they're happy and they laugh. Yeah, joy and sadness, those are natural emotions. Being angry, that is a result of being sad. So those are kind of your base emotions, right? Shame is not an original emotion at all. Every time you experience shame, it is because that shame was given to you. And every time you are shaming someone else, it is because you yourself have been shamed. Shame is a constant cycle. And the reason you feel that way and you pull down on yourself a lot of times is that cycle of shame, is that you are, someone else has given you that shame and told you that you're bad for not doing something that you quote unquote should, and maybe not functioning in a way, especially when during depression. but that shame was given to you by someone else. That shame is not something that you should have. And so you have to kind of set that down eventually and understand like, hey, what I'm feeling right now is shame. And this isn't valid because this is when I was given this. Someone else said this to me and they gave me that shame because they were feeling shame about something else. So I don't need to carry someone else's shame about my actions right now. And so laying that down and letting be like, all right, this is not an emotion I have to carry because this is actually someone else's trauma that they were walking through that they passed on to me and I don't need to carry that anymore. So having to like let that go.
Wow.
I respect the fudge out of that.
Thank you. It is so much easier said than done. But
Yeah.
Honestly.
acknowledging it is the first step.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, a lot of this stuff is like a lot of, I would call it like mental acrobatics, like battling with
Whoa,
yourself.
I like
and,
that.
And to
I really
me,
like that.
I'm a very spiritual person. I believe very much in spirit and a lot of other things that a lot of other people think are very crazy. But I think there are battles that go on in your brain that no one else knows that are going on. And that's why every time you walk past somebody, you have no clue what's going on in their mind. You can look at someone, you can have known them for 30 years, but we don't know. We don't know what's going on.
Don't.
And
Absolutely.
to bring it back what you were saying about it earlier, Brylee, if you just have that quick little thought, like, man, I should just tell them they look nice, or maybe I like that pep in your step. I love that pep in that step.
Oh my goodness. It's exactly like we were talking about last week with kind of a Lane mention is that like sometimes guys don't get that affirmation.
Yeah.
And so
normal affection.
Yeah, normal affection.
That isn't sexual.
Yeah. So when a girl like flirts with them a little bit, they're like, "Oh my goodness,
She's in love
she
with
likes
me."
me."
Yep.
And it's so kind of it's psychopathic
It's
to think of that.
Oh, it is.
But it's like our culture has kind of developed it. I won't even say culture, but like even small communities. Let's boil it down to smaller things. It's our smaller communities have instilled that. So when we're trying to incite change in the boys, in people, in bros and broellas of all shapes and sizes,
Oh, wow.
of all different places. When we incite change, it can't be from just our voice, Do y'all think action is required? Because not just voice, because like we were saying earlier, it's not just like, hey man, come sit with me at the lunch table, dude. I got a place right here. It's like this is what I like to do. I like to get up next to them if I know them. If I don't, I'm still gonna do it. But I'll get up next to them, right behind them, and I'll be like, hey, is a seat taken? They're like, oh no. I'm like, cool, I'm sitting here.
Yeah.
What's up?
Well, that's the thing, and Brylee, we've talked about this a little bit. It's like it's one thing for it to be known that you're like invited to the function, or you're like, oh yeah, you should have known that you were like welcome at the party. It's like, yeah, but you didn't like invite me.
Yeah.
Like there's a difference.
There's a
It's like,
thing for
oh, this
reaching
is my
out,
friend,
yeah.
and we're having a party, and he knows that he can come because he's my friend. But it's one thing to be like, yeah, you're welcome to come if you want, or to be like, hey, I want you there. I'm gonna come pick you up at 7:30, and then I'll take you. It's like, oh man, I feel so seen. And just like with your
Seen,
example,
yeah.
a lot of people want to feel seen and
Absolutely.
feel heard. And bringing it back, that's what art is. Art is like, please look at this. And it feels so like about the numbers, and like that's what it's been made about on Instagram and stuff.
Yeah.
Like, oh, I got 10,000 likes, but this one only got 2,000 likes. Holy crap, what did I do wrong? But it's like, please see what I'm feeling.
Yeah.
Please understand that what I'm creating is not because this is what I know, but this is what I want.
Yeah, it's that feeling of, or those emotions of validation. And it's like, frick you, shame.
Yeah.
Because when you started talking about shame, I was like, oh my goodness. Like somebody recently talked to me about that. And I'm feeling it.
That's okay.
Yeah.
Don't feel shame about your shame. Don't create more shame for yourself.
Yeah. It's
perpetual.
not valid. I think the key word is like, it's not valid. Because you need to validate some of your emotions. Because like when you're growing up, your parents are there to validate those visceral, maybe concrete needs. They're supposed to. they're supposed to validate those, hunger. Oh, little 3-year-old Jimmy needs a cheeseburger or something like that. I don't know. Or maybe not cheeseburger. Maybe
explains a
like
lot.
applesauce.
Jumbo Jim.
There's my
Got
share.
him.
Okay.
That's the roast of the day.
Yeah,
I'm sorry.
throwback-
I'm sorry. That's trauma.
throwback
That's
to
trauma.
Well, like I can joke. I like joking about it. I think joking about
Because
it's a
it
good
makes
way.
it easy for you.
Yeah, I mean it does, but like I think it's something about growth. So like it's like self-deprecation. Well, I think there's a time and a place for it. Maybe there's not a time for some things, and there is a time for that. Like if you talk to me when I was in like high school, I could not talk to you about Jumbo Jim, like because like I was just like I stopped eating like entirely.
Yeah.
And so, but now like I'm
Sorry you
vibing
went
out,
through
huh?
that. Sorry you went through
Yeah.
Yeah,
I
yeah.
don't really mean to make light of it.
Well,
I just know that you joke about it and it's not an excuse, and I don't mean to make you feel bad about
Feels
that
terrible.
time, or I don't mean to.
Just kidding.
I don't mean to give you shame
No, exactly.
because there is none to be received. There's no reason to have any of that, and so
Yeah, preface to
I
this,
apologize.
listeners. I joke about this a lot because I think it's really funny because like in my mind, like it's kind of silly things, but like at the time when we're experiencing, it's not. It
Yeah.
is. It is
so
like
real to you.
it's real and it hurts.
Yeah.
It hurts really bad. But shout out to Jumbo Jim.
Shout out to Jumbo Jim.
7th grade theater class. You know who you are.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know who you are. But recognizing that and getting over it is like it's like my Bible teacher once said to me. Here, there's a bridge. Get over it.
Got him.
I can say that
Ouch.
I can say that now because I'm over it. But like at the time, if somebody said that, I would be like, I'm so hurt. Which is why you need to recognize who the person is, have a basis of a relationship, communicate in an appropriate way, and use some action with it too. I think action is really important
Absolutely.
because if you
Wow.
just say word, anybody could say words, but if you take
Yeah.
if you say words repeatedly, like I was talking about Jesse, he calls me every day.
Mm-hmm.
Every day.
It's dedication.
Do you know how annoying that is?
So annoying.
Do you know how? But it's good because I love the guy.
Yeah.
Apparently he loves me. I guess.
Sure
Good.
seems that way.
Yeah.
It's important.
I think we've given listeners lots to think about.
Yeah.
And I think it's fitting the week you had a teacher that they got lots of homework.
Oh.
So, I think that's a good way.
Yes. Go
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 forth.
on. Go forth and prosper. Go forth and multiply, as God once said.
Maybe not that one.
No, never. You know,
Maybe go forth and be
let's keep it
kind
simple.
to others.
let's not give shame. Check on people.
Shame means also like not using people's insecurities against them. That I think that's a
Yeah.
big thing. What people don't understand is like Matthew just did, said Jumbo Jim. That could have been my insecurity. He could use that as a weapon against me.
Mm-hmm.
But because like we've had previous conversations about it, it is a joke for me personally. If we are contextualizing it, because we have a previous relationship, it is a specific incident.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
that's why it's all chill. That's why I can vibe out to it.
Yeah.
All right. Our homework is recognize your trauma,
Mm.
honor those feelings, be kind to others, check in on your friends, and try and recognize that shame cycle.
And try something new this week.
Try something this week. And yeah, be creative.
Be creative and be yourself. Be yourself. Brylee, thank you so much.
Thank you for having
Thanks
me.
for
So much
having
for
me.
joining me.
Glad to be here.
Really quickly, we have to
Do you-
have you explain this tweet.
You got it.
This can be our post.
We'll
No,
do a
we're still
post.
rolling.
Oh, okay.
We're explaining this tweet right now. Absolutely.
Alrighty. I'm gonna be honest, I'm a little nervous.
October 28th, 2018
Oh man.
at 11:09 p.m. This received 2 likes. And I bet you can guess which 2 they were. This says, "Remember when my parents found out I secretly made a Facebook
Oh
and they forced me to make a post telling everyone I'm a big fat liar."
I so badly wish that was a fictitious story. I wish so bad. Yeah, I had a Facebook and I was not supposed to. It was in the 6th grade. And I named it Be Epic Sparkles.
No!
With a fake birthday so that if my parents found it, they couldn't trace it back to me.
Nice.
That was...
Hey, real quick, shout out to Be Epic Sparkles real quick.
It's the worst.
Can we get a chef's
my
kiss
God.
for that?
Yeah. Yeah. And then I got grounded from my iPod for having an attitude.
No.
Classic me move, first of all. And my mom wanted me to unlock it at one point, just like casually. And then I was like, okay. And then I was like on my email, and then I saw one from Facebook. So I quickly deleted that. And she was like, what was that? What'd you just delete? And I was like, oh, nothing. And she's like, open your deleted right now. I was like, I've been bamboozled. And yeah, from there they pulled up my Facebook, and then I was grounded for like 4 months with no friends, no phone,
Wow.
no iPod. It was a whole thing. But then my mom was like, "It's still not good enough. You can't just be grounded. You're not sorry." And I was like, "Okay, how can I show you I'm sorry?" She's like, "You need to tell all of your friends you're a liar." And so she made me write this. If you scroll down, I would like to read it for the listeners. This is what my mom made me post. Here's an exact quote of it. "Dear friends and family of Facebook, my real name is my name in all caps. Because I have lied to both of my parents about my age and given name, I am therefore grounded from Facebook and all electronic devices. I will not have any privileges until I can prove myself worthy by learning that my given name is a good name. I need to learn and be honest. I need to learn to be honest and worthy the rest of my life. I have shamed both of my parents as well as me by my behavior and actions. Please do not message me, Facebook, or text me. I am grounded until further notice."
Oh,
Followed up by 2 likes of my friends.
Wow. They were
Yeah.
out for blood.
That was the start of my shame cycle.
There's the trauma.
There it is,
That's the
guys.
starting point. Be Epic Sparkles was the origin story.
Honestly, I had a crossroads there. Was I going to be nice or the next Joker?
Yeah. Wow. Okay. I think that's the perfect way to wrap up this episode. Again, Brylee, thank you so much. I love ya.
I love you too.
Guys,
Jimmy, you're cool. I love you too, Jimmy.
You're cool too.
we're not networking. We're making friends. Hey everyone, thanks so much for listening to this episode of the podcast with Brylee. I, for one, really enjoyed what she had to say, the knowledge that she really bestowed upon us today. Really stoked about this episode. If you enjoyed it too, leave a comment, leave a rating, tune in to next episode, and don't forget you're listening to Not Network.
So this little last part is for anybody who is kind of struggling. I put some kind of resources and some tips on my website. I just list out some things that help me get out of the dark place, when you get to creating. And if they help you, great, look at them. Just talking about vices and what's a healthy way to handle kind of the darkness that's always spinning around in our domes. Check it out, and I hope you have a great kind of day, and stay stoked.